A young man looks at his small town and reflects on everything that has already happened. It ended before it began. The world could disappear tomorrow, and nothing can change that. But one can change their perception of it. Later, Alex returns home and finds his own corpse on the living room carpet, next to an envelope with "Look at me" written on it. The initial shock turns to curiosity. Alex finds a USB drive in the envelope, which he immediately plugs into his computer. Alex turns on the USB and sees himself on the screen. Alex from the future reassures himself, he is not high and not insane. Therefore, he advises to listen carefully. So, it all started with the arrival of the men in black at his house. Rebecca Stillman, an employee of a private research institute for advanced technologies, which cooperates with the United States National Security Agency, has a very tempting offer for Alex. They need his help as a cryptography expert. Alex is to start working on a secret project and sign a non-disclosure agreement. Just for signing, Rebecca offers him a check for a substantial amount. After signing the papers, Alex learns about an unregistered American satellite that the US did not launch. Strangely enough, the satellite from the future contains an encrypted message inside. Alex takes it all for a joke, but Rebecca calmly continues the conversation. If he agrees, they will sedate him and deliver him to the laboratory. The Research Institute is aware that he is broke, nearly bankrupt, and living in a not-so-great house inherited from his parents. To prove the seriousness of their intentions, Rebecca immediately transfers a large sum of money to Alex's account, convincing him of the reality of the situation. The guy signs the documents, and the next day he is put in a car, given an injection, after which he falls asleep and wakes up only in a closed secret place where no sunlight penetrates. Rebecca shows him the laboratory where the satellite is already standing. The guy voices his demands for his stay in the bunker and starts solving the puzzle. 5 weeks pass, but there is no result yet. Rebecca suggests Alex take a day off, as he is working to exhaustion. But the guy doesn't need it. He also refuses the help of a psychologist. Days go by, and one day he suddenly has a vision in which a young female scientist deciphers the same puzzle. After that, Alex's nose bleeds. Later, he finds the name of this woman written on the bed frame and writes it down in his notebook. Alex immerses himself in his work. He manages to decrypt the part of the code assigned to him and even provides the blueprints of a device. In the Navajo language, the message warns of the possibility of a Third World War. Rebecca announces the end of his work and informs him that he will be taken home. Ignoring his objections, Alex wakes up at home late at night. He feels ill, which he attributes to fatigue and stress, but after a few days, the malaise intensifies. He begins to suffer from persistent hallucinations. One day, 2 oddly-looking men appear at his doorstep, wanting to discuss his work with an NIPT. The main question: why did he agree to decrypt the code? Alex doesn't understand this. After all, decryption is just his job, which pays well. The men continue to press Alex with questions about morality. Doesn't he care about the consequences of his work? The guy doesn't understand this line of questioning. The strange visitors inform him that the blueprints he deciphered will be used to create a weapon. Alex gets a severe headache and asks the men to leave. They thank him for his answers and depart. Alex immediately feels better and sits down at his computer. But at that moment, he receives a call from Rebecca, reminding him of the non-disclosure agreements he signed. Outraged, Alex realizes that it's not an NIPT that's been constantly watching him. And when he sits down at his computer again, his house is bathed in red light. Alex goes outside and suddenly sees one of the recent visitors on the opposite side of the street. But the person's body begins to change. It grows before his eyes. Frightened, Alex runs back home and, looking out the window, sees the hand of a giant reaching towards his window. Alex stretches his hand out in response. And morning comes. An NIPT car arrives at the guy's house and Rebecca, entering, finds Alex working. He tries to explain that people live in a two-dimensional space. He focused too much on what he saw, not when. And here's the answer about his visitors: they exist not only in space but also in time. They might be in this room, but earlier or later, and can observe what's happening from there, through a window in time. Rebecca asks him to stop his work, but Alex tries to convey to her the danger of the device they are building. It's capable of starting a new war, not preventing it. Then, the woman reveals that she knows about his illness. Alex blames NIPT for everything, accusing them of placing him in a room with a radioactive satellite, which led to a tumor developing in his brain. He insists on halting the construction of the device. In the present, Alex stops watching the USB drive, removes his dead body from the house, and buries it in the forest. Then he returns to his computer. In the future, Alex is upset that no one wanted to listen to him, as he understood that something ominous was coming. He then remembers the female cryptographer and finds her address. But Beth Carter, upon hearing about this institute, refuses to speak with him. Alex shouts about everything that happened to him and that the message was not what they told him. No one believes him because he is dying. He was given 6 months. After this, Beth opens her door and reveals she has 2 months left. She also realized that it's a weapon, and the blueprint came from the future. He's the first person she's talked about this with. There's another person, Shefferman, who communicates with her via computer. He sends her tasks, which she solves when she feels somewhat alright. Suddenly, Beth feels unwell, and the man takes her to the bedroom. He goes downstairs and seems to see the mirrors of the girl's life. Here she is seeing off her beloved, dressed in military uniform. Here his colleagues bring her terrible news. And here she is with a handful of pills in her hand, trying to leave this life. But then his attention is drawn to a message from Shefferman appearing on the computer monitor. Alex responds, but he quickly realizes he's not talking to Beth and disconnects. The man then grabs a stack of Beth's printed papers with screenshots of the tasks previously given to her. In the morning, Beth finds him on her sofa, and the papers glued together. She's outraged by his behavior, as it's her home and her computer. But the guy draws her attention to the fact that all these papers, like a single message, are pieces of a puzzle. By assembling them, one can get an answer, and Shefferman clearly doesn't work for NIPT. He asks Beth to join him and stop the creation of the death machine. The woman reveals that she fell ill after working with the satellite, started having hallucinations, and began thinking about the message from the future. What if it's possible to contact the sender? She became obsessed and started hearing the voices of the dead. And one day, she heard her own voice. This work took her health and then her life. She too saw the aliens, although she doesn't believe in it. Alex refutes her certainty that it was a hallucination, as they saw the same thing, but the woman asks him to leave. Alex is heading home, where people from the NIPT are waiting for him at the doorstep. Rebecca reminds him of his promise not to talk about his work and orders him to stop seeing Beth. It's not just him who's been exposed to radiation. So, Alex needs to use his remaining time wisely. Angered, he sends the visitors away and, upon entering his home, finds that all his papers and research conclusions are missing. Meanwhile, Beth sees a bright light at her house, which makes her feel unwell. She screams in fear and tries to hide, while Alex tries to drown his sorrows in alcohol, receiving messages from Shefferman on his computer. Alex suspects that Rebecca is behind the nickname, but his correspondent denies it and informs him that she will soon be at his place. Suddenly, there's a knock at the door. It's Beth. Alex tells her that the Institute staff took all his work and talks about Shefferman. It turns out that Shefferman directed Beth to his house and sent her the blueprints of a device capable of destroying the machine from the future. They start to decipher his message. Apparently, the machine has already been built, and now they need to destroy it. The pair start developing a virus that can destroy the machine through a computer, a machine they're responsible for creating. However, Rebecca suddenly bursts into Alex's house. The Institute knows about their work, and they are on their way. She gives the name of the Institute's founder and orders them to go to him immediately. She reveals she is Shefferman, hoping to destroy the device with their help. Suddenly, NIPT cars arrive at Alex's house. The couple escapes through the back door, but Rebecca is captured. She is injected with something and thrown into a car. To destroy the house, the stove burners are all turned on. In the evening, Alex and Beth arrive at the home of Umezu Driscoll, a scientist who instantly recognizes them, having always followed their work. He explains that this satellite is not the only one. Another was found orbiting Earth for hundreds of years, presumably waiting for their development. The blueprints in that satellite indicated a machine designed to limit human dimensions. When he announced his discovery, he was ridiculed. He also developed a tumor, but luckily, it's not fatal. He believes that the aliens can exist in multiple dimensions, are more advanced than humans, and do not perceive time linearly. The second device will likely allow them access to the human dimension. It's as if they're watching a videotape, with humans as the movie characters. With the first device, they can watch this film, but they can also change what's happening. And this will allow them to alter existing reality. If they launch it, they will become much stronger. Driscoll is only beginning to understand the process but can't fully explain it. The appearance of the aliens is dictated by the human brain. He has been in contact with a huge alien visible only to him in his garden for over 30 years. Driscoll constantly looks at it, causing his brain to adapt and start seeing the true form of the humanoid, but his guests see no one. Driscoll is certain that none of them have made an identical decryption, which is why the Research Institute invited them one by one. The tumor in their heads is an aid from the aliens, helping humans to perceive their reality. Alex falls into despair, realizing it's impossible to stop. Driscoll is sure that everything is unfortunately just so. The pulsations they feel are echoes of what will happen. Therefore, they need to erase all the data on the server, although none of them even know the location of the Institute. But Driscoll, being one of its founders, pulls out a map marking all the buildings of the Research Institute. At that moment, a loud bang is heard at the door. The couple flees while Driscoll tries to calm the enraged alien. Alex and Beth soon find the Institute building, where they open a hatch to infiltrate inside. There, they split up to increase their chances of finding the laboratory. Alex witnesses the strange behavior of a guard and realizes that time inside is looping backward. Beth, also caught in this loop, realizes the futility of her attempts to proceed further, activates a bomb, but due to the time loop, finds herself unable to leave the dangerous area. Alex, in a dark room, tries to carry the bomb further when he is overtaken by an alien who literally disintegrates him. A minute later, Alex finds himself tied to a table, facing a humanoid. He thinks he has died, but the humanoid's face contradicts his belief. The aliens are simply curious about the human form and their experience of time. Linear time is incomprehensible and tiresome to them, a laborious cycle of empty beliefs. Humans, trapped, are forced to constantly repeat the same experiences. Aliens, however, understand what can be felt in a single moment. Therefore, cause and effect, and sequence, are mysteries to them. What happens if a human no longer has to wait? Alex realizes. Humans will become like them, but he is dying in this state. The alien is surprised. Death is natural. But humans hide and distance themselves from it, with time defining everything for them. It is both a giver and a thief. Humans see the world as they imagine it. And what happens when the source of their projection disappears? Even with an eternity of self-analysis, humans cannot understand the difference between reality and illusion. With each new birth comes a new reality. Therefore, humans are always faced with a choice. Alex is very unwell. And then, the alien offers to return him to the moment before he fell ill, with the knowledge he now possesses. Alex decides that he wouldn't have gone to the Research Institute and would have stopped all of this. The alien is surprised, asking why he would change his behavior if he can't change the situation. Then Alex admits, people don't choose what will happen. The humanoid insists, will his return to the past make a difference? What can change? And suddenly, the guy finds himself in his own home, in front of his computer. He records the flash drive, realizing that nothing can be changed. The world might disappear tomorrow. But this is not news, everything has already happened. Everything ended before it began. He puts the flash drive in an envelope and falls to the floor. The last words on the flash drive are about warning Beth. And he drives to the woman's house, while Alex from the future asks to forget everything and move on. Quite an interesting film, making you think. What if the concept of time really doesn't exist, and we live only here and now? Who made us believe that there is a past and a future? And is it true that people commit follies without thinking about how their thoughts and actions change their own future? In any case, leave your comments, like the video, and make your future better with our channel.